Friendly hellos, everybody. Welcome to the seventh call of 2025, taking place for the Fil Plus community on April 29th. Let's take a look at the slides and see what we have on the agenda for this call. We are going to start off with 6 main updates for you. The first, checking in. FDS Virtual is happening this week with the live event taking place in Toronto. So we'll share the links to the calls. We'll share the sign up dates for Toronto if you can make it live. Second is we're going to check in on IP&I. Now, this impacts a lot of the community. We'll let you know where you can find updates. Galen will give you a brief summary of next steps and the Slack channels that you can keep updated on that issue. Then we'll talk about the DataCap Refresh. You may have noticed this is getting a lot faster and a lot tighter. So we're going to talk about the applications that were just approved. Those were in progress. And if you're on this call and you have any questions, we'll happily to open yours up and give you any feedback you want to discuss. Last parts of the call, we'll check in on the update. So we've been talking about a new template form that's coming. We'll talk about the release date for that and what to expect, as well as check in if you ran an RFA application for an automated or market. We'll highlight which organizations those are. I'll talk about the comments I left in your GitHub, as well as any manual applications. I believe there's 17. So what those manual applications have to do to remain viable and providing value to the network. As always, feel free to leave any comments in the YouTube video, the Slack channel, raise a hand on the call, and we'll always circle back and get you whatever you need. So as a quick housekeeping, remember if you're watching this, if there's any items you want on the agenda, please see our governance repo. There you can file an issue and we'll add anything, any topic that you want for discussion on the agenda. The next call will be taking place on 13th May, and the calendar is shared in the slides for you to add this and follow along and see when it pops up. This call takes place at 09 Pacific, 1600 UTC, with the next call taking place at 1900, 0200. Over the last 2 weeks, hey, we had 36 new clients that were served according to 24 petabytes of data, and that's coming from 78 of the active allocators that we've seen take part. So big thank you to those pathways that have come online after this new push. Looking forward to some great things that you bring to the network. All right, hey, checking in on FDS. So this is taking place right now, and it still goes through tomorrow. So yeah, raise the roof, right? Things we get excited about. I wanted to call out a talk that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and I hope maybe you turn into that. Tomorrow on the 30th, Galen and MPG from Fiddle will be walking through the state of Fil Plus. So it'll be really timely. I'll make sure that I'm on that call, and I'll make sure that that link gets shared in our main channels for it. If you're looking for a breakdown over the last 4 days, a lot of great talks, and the AV team has been fabulous at parsing these out. So each one of these playlists that I've linked here in this slide will take you to the day's topics of conversation. They're broken into like 15, 20-minute chunks, which is really great if you just want to digest the topics and move on. So here's all the links if you're keen. Looking forward to getting your feedback, because in Toronto in May 12th and 13th, these will be the live sessions. And the goal of doing it with a virtual and live was that a lot of the presentation is now being completed. And that way in Toronto, the focus can really be on that in-person development, connection, and communication. So if you can't make it already, love to get your input. It's going to be taking place again, May 12th and May 13th in Toronto. And the slide decks is all the information. If you have any questions, please let us know. All right, Galen, can I turn it over for you for an IP&I update?
Yes. So IP&I is the interplanetary network indexer. So this, it's something that's been around for a little bit, and recently has come up with some issues and has led to some just some hurdles with some of our Spark retrieval and things like that. So just giving a little bit of an update here. This is one of those things where, Filecoin is this big, broad, massive, decentralized, and distributed system, but we have a set of kind of standards, and we work towards a set of kind of combined resources so that it can work well across all these different use cases and for all these different people. And so the indexer is a way to basically map content. And it is a way for us to be able to have a record of, what is the data shared in different places. And this is important when we talk about in Filecoin Plus, caring about, real clients with real data, doing real distributed deal making, growing the utility of the Filecoin network. if somebody claims they're bringing really high quality data and that data is open and accessible and retrievable by anyone on the network, then we kind of need to know what it is, where it is, how to get parts of it back, how it's prepared, sliced up. So we've been increasing sort of our standards and our requirements for how data is prepared, and how it's indexed, so that if you say, hey, I have this huge, massive data set and it's with all these different SPs in all these different deals, well, how do we know which piece is where? How do other people get to it? So we care about the indexing of this information. And there've been some different issues, and we've been kind of working with Will on the Fiddle team, as well as the gentleman at Spark and Meridian, and there's a lot of public comms channels about this. So there's a couple links here. Will wrote up a kind of this HackMD link that you'll have access to, that talks about some of the issues that we're seeing and why. So I'm not going to get into the technical aspects like too much on this call, but suffice to say, the Fil+ team is aware. The way that we're doing the compliance audits, we're looking into these issues. We're seeing retrieval scores dip a little bit, and so generally, we want there to be increased development and success around this standard, how we're using indexing, how the IPNI workflow works for different clients. So check out these write-ups, follow along in public Slack. There's conversations, but also in this HackMD, and there's some in progress and next steps there that we'll have in the recording and on the slides as we share them, rather than me kind of reading through all of them. I think is there one more slide after that? No. I think it goes back to DataCap Refresh, if I'm not.
It does. Yes. DataCap Refresh. Hey, so just to keep everyone aware, there are 4 refresh audits public for disbursement. So if your name is on this list, Caro, Bitengine, Hashbit, and QC Data Center, you should be seeing your DataCap go back out. So congratulations and thank you on the hard work. All of the manual pathways, this is where a lot of the investing engineering time in 2024 is really paying off for us now, because now all these manual refresh can be distributed without the root key holder wait time. So we're really getting close to this 2-week goal that we've been really striving for as part of our process. And so you should see that governance turnaround time is right around that 5 days or less, and that 2-week time. So thank you all for your time coming through. This is what the refreshes look like. So in the last week, we had Caro, QD Data Center, Bitengine, Rita, and Hash Big Data. Coming up in progress right now, currently in review awaiting, is IPFS, Hume, Current Logic, CoinSummer, and ZZ Phil. So if your name is on this list, you're currently in that review process. If you have any questions, please let us know. And as always, just kind of floating these friendly reminders on what's looking for, just making sure that you have the KYC process that you said you'd line out, that you're not having CID duplication, that the storage providers are who you say they are, and the retrievability metrics are in line is what we're going for. So they shouldn't be a call out. This is what the team is looking for, whether it's a watchdog, whether it's the community, whether it's someone from the governance side. So thank you. If you have any questions, as always, please let us know. All right. Hey, do you want to join the Allocator program? Well, we'd love to have you. So I wanted to check in on this because we have been talking about a new updated form. This form will be used not just by new pathways and organizations wishing to join, but existing allocators as well. So apologies, sometimes in engineering, sometimes in development, things take a little bit longer than anticipated, and that's what this form is. So we had talked about this back in March. It was coming in April. Now with this call being on the 29th of April, I think it's pretty safe to say that we'll be getting this in May to you. Once we get this form out, I'll push it in the public Slacks as well as the Fil Allocators channel, as well as linking it to any existing application. So I will just be sounding that bullhorn when that update form is ready for you. We'll talk and get some feedback. The goal of this is not to make it a really tight turnaround. So we'll come up with a time period that if you're an existing allocator, you have plenty of time to go back and update it. There shouldn't be drastic changes, but what it's meant to do is capture changes that you might have encountered as a business. Meaning, if you signed up to be an automated pathway, but you find that you're going to focus on manual, it makes your refresh process really hard to compare against because metrics will be different. So this is your way to say, hey, my business model has changed. This is what I'm doing now based off real world learnings. And that's why we're asking everyone to complete. So again, be on the lookout. You probably won't be able to miss it because I'll be shouting it so loudly, but just to give you an update on the timeline. And hey, if you applied as a novel allocator, thank you. If you're on this list of the 21 organizations you have listed here, I went through and I left a comment in each one of these applications over the past few days. And the comment pretty much just talks about this pathway. We love it. We want to see it, but we can't onboard it with DataCap because it's not functionally testing yet. It's missing something that you have to develop in order to move to that next step. So the comment that I left for these was check out the experimental pathway. So the experimental pathway, MPG from Fiddle talked about in the last call. There's also a short link shared on Slack. And it's essentially saying you can come to this pathway and look at this in a way to receive that 1 petabyte of data before having to have it fully flushed out. So I highly encourage anyone on this list that applied as one of these pathways to reapply under this experimental. It's a great way to test this, make sure it all works, and then come back and it'll be all set. Galen, I see your hand. I'll hand it over to you for some additional context on it.
Yes. I know it's only a handful of us on the call, but we're also doing this for the recording. One of the things I know that we've said it a few times, it's been mentioned, but just again, highlighting the experimental pathway. We've had a lot of teams that say, we have an idea. We have an idea for some kind of RFA, some kind of automation, some kind of bot or smart contract. We need that idea to be a little bit more than just a 30-second elevator pitch. We need you to have done a little bit of the dev work, have some, GitHub repository set up, have done some of the testing. And this is intended so that you can get a PIB of DataCap to go do some more legitimate testing of what you already have. So you need to have some of that background info. So for those teams that read the RFA, said, I think I have an idea, you need to now go do a little bit more of the development work on it. Once you've got that development work, somewhat of an MVP, some kind of more of a code base, more testing evidence, come to the experimental pathway, get that PIB of DataCap, and do that further testing, and then let's come back and talk. So that's kind of the goal here, is we want to have a route where we can get people connected to a testable amount of DataCap. And a PIB of DataCap is still a lot. If what we're talking about doing is testing and development work, trying it out with a couple, like one client, that's still a lot of DataCap for most of these systems. Going back to previous iterations of the program, early notaries were getting things on the scale of a PIB of DataCap total. So just keeping that in mind. We are going to be, as Carrie's talking about, we're going to be looking at these applications to connect people to the manual pathway, to connect people directly to root key holders. We have this experimental pathway. We may be adding other meta allocators going forward in the future. That's something we want to talk about at Dev Summit. But we've seen a number of these people apply, and they're just not yet ready. So that's kind of why we are excited for this experimental pathway to help give teams more runway to develop.
Well said. So as Galen just pointed out, that application process is here on this slide. So if you come to the Fiddle page right here, they have an experimental pathway application. And again, there's a 5-minute YouTube video that's taken from the previous governance call. Tried to make this as short and sweet with easy to follow captions as much as possible. So if you have any additional questions and just want to dive right into it, please see that video. Please see that link. All right. And hey, manual pathways. So we had this slide on the last call, and we've had a variation of this slide for probably the last 6 months of calls. And it really comes down to the key point on the manual applications is that to take on additional pathways that are doing the strictly manual review, that's just general data across no specificity, we're looking for diversity and real specificity. So if you are applying to be a manual pathway, what we've said is we're going to prioritize the novel RFAs first. And we've been doing that for the past few months, onboarding these experimental pathways, these manual pathways, and try to get them all set up. Then we're looking at existing pathways to renew. So of the 78 applications that are on file right now, we want to onboard everybody who's performing and continuing to distribute the data cap. And then third on the prioritization list, it's these applications for manual that have shepherded a client through. And what this means is we've had applications from organizations saying, look, I've got clients, I've got deals, I'd like to bring them through. Well, what we don't want to do is ever put you in a place where you're blocking. So you're always encouraged, if that falls to you, to bring that client to an existing pathway. And this is your chance to show that you can meet the KYC, all of the bookkeeping requirements, that the SPs are lined up, and the retrieval is at least what we're seeing with existing pathways. This really steps it up. And then after that is looking at the manual applications that have just applied. So we don't know anything about you other than the fact that you want to join the program. And then lastly, your pathways that might have been removed for some compliance violation in the past. They've made modifications and they'd like to come back. So this is how we're approaching onboarding these manual pathways. And again, I like to stress what's in bold. The goal is not just to unlimitedly add a high number of manual pathways. It's to bring on performing demonstrated pathways that are diverse and specific to needs. So if you're on this list, these 1 through 16, I left a comment in your application pretty much summarizing this, even including some of the same slides that we're talking about. And the goal is just to make sure that you have, one, shepherded a client or two through the process and you can retort and retrieve and put all that information out there. And two is to make you aware that there's an updated application form coming, and this would be your chance to really demonstrate it to onboard. So again, if you're a manual pathway on this list, please be sure that you've shepherded a client, that you've met the expectations of your own application, and that you're ready to apply, and then we'll pull from that to be onboarded. So what was the shepherding? Again, you would have seen this in the issue, but just to double stamp it as it comes back, it's that you bring a client through another pathway to demonstrate that you can broker that relationship and be a point of contact and document that all in a process way. What we're going to look at is anybody who's applied to be a manual allocator. This is a slide from last week, just kind of bringing it up again. It's that if you don't have an ability to onboard that, you haven't brought in a client through, we'll keep it on file. Maybe we'll close it just for bookkeeping repository. But if you have, what we're doing is we're measuring if you can meet the standards set out in your application. If not, under the best of circumstances, it doesn't show that you're going to be a success when you onboard eventually. So again, shepherding a client is a way that you can show as a manual applicant. Any thoughts that you have on that? Galen, I'll pass it up. Any kind of foot stamps or anything you wanted to add on the RFA or the manual allocators? All right. And then lastly, we're excited about this experimental pathway. You might have heard us talking about it a few times. So again, if you are applying and you want that testament data, that's what the experimental pathway is for. So that's just a brief overview of some of the issues that we're working on right now behind the scenes. We wanted to float this for anyone on the call. If there's any topics or support, we're happy to help or dive anything on your mind.
Very clear. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you,
All
Galen.
right. Well, then, Eric, we'll
So
just send
later
you good vibes.
you guys will join the virtual meeting later, right?
Yeah.
I've been watching them on 2x speed after, and then yeah, I'll be at the one tomorrow, and then the plan is that I'll be at the live Dev Summit in I think it's 2 weeks.
Cool. That's 10 a.m. in Chinese time, I think, right? Because I check my Google Calendar.
The one tomorrow?
Yes.
It's basically this time right now. So whatever time it is where you are right now, it'll be this same time tomorrow, 24 hours from now.
Yeah. So according to the screen sharing, that's 4:30 p.m. The Marta Greater, right? That one. States of Filecoin Plus.
Yep.
Okay, I'll be there.
All right. But there's other, good talks and tracks too. I hope you've had a chance to either join or watch the recordings. I think the ones happening right now are around value accrual and funding. So kind of investor interest and things like that. There have been ones on tools. There's some other sessions tomorrow on governance. And then I think last week, there was some interesting ones around client adoption. So the middle day last week. So check out the recordings if you can.
Sure, sure. That's great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Cheers, everyone. Short and sweet. We'll let you guys get back to FDS. Thanks again for all your time.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Good morning, Ken. I think it's just you and I. So I think everyone was at the FDS today. Didn't want to cancel it, but I guess what I'm saying is I'm all yours. I can give you the slide deck and make you sit there for 20 minutes, or I can get you anything you need for Origin, bud.
Yeah. Yeah, you can just drop slides. Is there any updates that you like to highlight? I mean, I've seen your messages on GitHub. I think you guys uh respond to one of our applications on GitHub. And yeah, we will take a look at them. I have no further questions actually. Yeah, no further questions from me actually.
Yeah,
Just for
let
the
me
join
pull
in
it
from
up.
the call.
So let me share this just to make sure we're on the right page and I could brief you on what's going on with Origin.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have been around for quite a while. Want to do right. The last update that I shared on this application was just like reminding you guys about kind of the order that Galen wants to step out these for renewal. So right now, Origin's kind of last in line. It was a pathway that was onboarded, then it was removed for non-diligence. But you guys, let me just take a quick look. You've onboarded this application here.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done any others? Because these numbers are good. They're like in the 20s. They're coming back. This was back in November. I think that's set. I really don't think there's anything else more you need to do. For your awareness, I went through this week and I collected all of the applications that were on file. So these were all the manual ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got you guys right here. So there's 16. And I would say like a good four of these, I haven't heard back from the organizations at all. So it puts you guys in pretty good standing, bringing a client through and doing it. You're just kind of in the waiting game. And the only thing that I would just brief you on would be this one slide here. We contract out with other dev teams to build a lot of the tooling. And the dev team that's building the tooling that will integrate the application to the JSON files, they're just running behind. So as soon as they get that application, expected probably in the next week or two, we'll send that out. So as soon as that application comes in, I'll make sure that I post it in the allocator channel, the Fil Plus channel, and I'll link it here too, so you guys have it. Then you fill that
Nice.
application out. Galen takes both, and then that's kind of the onboarding for you.
I see. Okay. That's great. I'll let the team know.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for coming to this. Here for whatever I can do, and we'll kind of get you guys all set. How are things going for you in your world? What's kind of the business climate like, crypto climate? I'm always curious about different parts of the world.
Uh, so this side of the world, it's sunny morning. Uh, and there are lots of I see a lot of stable coin and payment development in this side of the world. In particular, I think like Mastercard as well as JP Morgan uh has been writing blogs about their payment system and how they can actually do real-time payment settlements. Yeah.
Sweet.
Even in the competition, most of the uh winning winners are payment applications.
Well, I hope all is well. What I'll do is I'll just hang out on the call in case folks trickle in. I'll see what I could do to help them, and feel free to hang out. Feel free to drop. If there's anything you need, as always, just send me a ping. I'll get you whatever I
Yeah.
can.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, thanks for your time, Kenneth. Hey, Water Drop Labs. As you can see, it's just a few of us on the call. So I'm just kind of hanging out. If there's any support or specific questions, we did the walkthrough in the morning. I didn't think it was very helpful for me just to do the same regurgitated speech, but it's Water Drop. Is there anything that I could pull for you guys, help, or look up for you? Water Drop, I just put a message here in the chat. I guess what I'm saying is I'm here for you, whatever you need. I'm just going to mute my line, assuming that you're not here. But if you are, you've got my full attention. I'll stay on the call. I can look up your app, pull anything for you, run down. I'm here if you need me. All right. Well, thanks for coming to this part of the call. I'm going to drop off. If there's anything else anybody needs, feel free to Slack me or message. Here to help, whatever you guys. All the best. Warm nights, warm days.